In the late afternoon on March 27, 1964, a 9.2 magnitude earthquake violently shook south-central Alaska. Most Alaskans have heard the stories by now from what is known as the Great Alaska Earthquake. 50 years later, its aftershocks are still felt today in the form of emergency preparedness. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers participated alongside other federal, state, and local government agencies and private entities in the recent Alaska Shield exercise, which was sponsored by the state. Beginning on the 50th anniversary of the Good Friday earthquake, the exercise replicated a similar incident with a 9.2 earthquake striking 70 miles east of Anchorage at 10:10 a.m. and lasting for 5 minutes. The Alaska District was immediately impacted and went into a response mode.
So when something large like this happens, our very first thing is accountability of our personnel, find out where they are, if they're okay, and then if they're not, get them help immediately.
After immediate disaster response priorities were met and limited communications restored, the district slowly worked itself back into a functioning role to support recovery efforts across the state. In a real-world disaster, this would happen between 72 hours and 30 days, depending on the severity and circumstances of the emergency.
We respond to the state, local, FEMA, and DOD with, the Stafford Act, which is Natural Disaster Act, which gives us, under the National Response Framework, the Corps is the primary ESF3 agency, which is Emergency Support Function number 3, which is Public Works and Engineering.
In conjunction with the Alaska Shield exercise, the Corps of Engineers conducted its own combined response mission exercise with 122 personnel deploying to Alaska from other districts and divisions. The planning and response team's readiness was tested for temporary emergency power, national water, logistics, and commodity distribution. Soldiers with the 249th Engineer Battalion Prime Power Team serviced state-owned generators and did pre-installation inspections at critical public facilities across Alaska, including the Port of Anchorage.
Currently today there are about 290 critical public facilities that the 249th has been out and assessed to determine what size generators, what we call the bill of materials, or BOM. It's the cables and clamps and everything that it takes to be able to power up those facilities.
Both exercises brought challenges in the scenarios that were played out, but perhaps there was none greater than the ability to share information and communicate.
What is the situation? What's the scenario? What's bad? What's good? And that's a challenge in any exercise, is trying to see what your partners at DOD or FEMA or the state, what are they seeing? What's on their radars? Is it the same as ours? What do they know and what do we know? And that's the sharing of information.
There's an intrinsic value in being prepared for the worst and participating in an exercise this large.
The type of discipline by pushing ourselves hard and doing this type of exercise is what causes us to get better at what we do and then be ready for a real event.
For the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Alaska District, I'm John Budnick.